Okay, I'm having major phone issues. At some point, the thing stopped videotaping, and I had a black screen. I don't know where I got cut off or why. We'll see if we can get going a little bit on this one. So, here's the game. I'm going to try to go a little faster. Hypothesize, imagine a world in which you've got two fundamental components. You've got a DNA, which we all, I think, understand fairly well enough to understand that the DNA uses enzymes to encode a sequence of basically instructions for cells that allow an awful lot of life, certainly humans and other animals, to procreate and pass on this code that is used to create further instances of that being, that species, whatever, that animal. And so you have DNA. And assume things that, like evolution, are true. Certainly true enough locally, right? We understand that animals mate, and some of the DNA from one side, half the strand, combines with the other half, and so you get a mix of DNA, and then that DNA contains instructions that are used on a cellular level to determine characteristics of that character. All right? Okay. Good enough. Now imagine there's a parallel force, a parallel mechanism for passing on consciousness, and we don't have to explain consciousness too much, or the collective conscience or collective unconscious. We'll use a variety of words. We can do that later. But imagine there's a second mechanism, and it has an evolving, changing DNA-like quality to it, and it's more of a religious, spiritual thing. And people talk about God, or Yahweh, or Jesus Christ, or Buddha, or Satan and Lucifer, or Greek mythology, Zeus, or Nordic, Loki, Thor. There's you can find all kinds of examples. Okay, so those are all characters in this game as well. And so there's examples of this. And then we have like Jungian psychology and other psychologists, psychiatrists, other explorers, mystics who delve in this realm. But let's say there's this as yet undiscovered but very DNA-like mechanism. 15% battery remaining. All right, whatever, but at least the video is still going. 4 minutes. Okay. I ramble. Hey, it's a game. It's my game. If you don't like it, don't play it. Play your own game. Okay, so there's this mechanism. And as part of the game, that mechanism exists in all life. Plants and trees, and even what is the, at what point is a tree dead? Parts of the tree fall off. I mean, as human beings, our skin supposedly is like a completely new set of cells every 7 years or something like that. We understand that there's like this replacement aspect, but we don't. We just kind of, I don't know, trivialize it. Well, let's say in this game we heighten it, and I thought somebody was behind me. And we say, okay, there's this consciousness. Now, the game is to increase your own consciousness score, to get closer to God. You can think of it as a religious quest. And in this questing adventure game, what you're told in the rules and in the directions and so forth is that, like, this stuff here, stop to smell the roses. And these aren't roses. Flowers have consciousness. Now, it's different than yours, but it draws from the same pool, the same well, a different spring of the flow of consciousness than you are in, but it flows nonetheless. Like Carl Jung had inscribed an oracle expression that was translated into God knows what language, Latin or something, or Greek. I don't know what was above his door, but it was the gist of it was that, like, God is there, always there, whether you realize it or not. And that meant something to Jung enough that this was like a home built house, I think he did with his own hands. He learned how to work with rock. I think he said he went and studied with a stonemason for a while, and he did carpentry. He built a place. He built his own home, and above the door he had this expression, this saying, and he got asked it a lot in interviews. It was obviously it's an easy thing, he says, hey, come to the house. They get to the house. At that time, in his lifetime, while he was a controversial figure, you got the impression that there were plenty of people that were in awe of him. And certainly those that came to his door to interview him all did it with a bit of awe in their heads. They're potentially nervous. I mean, he was, and there's a lot of talk in the interviews about the relief of the warmth and friendliness and acceptance that he showed people. And I've heard the same thing or read on Wikipedia, so it must be true. He had a lot of patience that he saw for psychoanalysis that felt the same way. And I think there was a description of him, even somebody walking through a hospital with him, and he would stop and talk at various, maybe just briefly, but he would stop and talk to just about anybody. These crazy people, psychotics and delusional, and so forth. And so it was, you got the sense that he had a very generous spirit. And I've completely lost my train of thought, which is probably good. So in this game, this is consciousness. All of this has consciousness. It's different than ours, but the game is to expand yours and get a higher consciousness score. And guess what? Spending time with, interacting with, honoring, appreciating, reflecting on nature and all the other forms of consciousness, not just other members of our species or the cats and dogs that we have as pets. There's nothing wrong with that. I would like to have a dog or two or three or whatever, or a cat, and I've had dogs and cats in the past, and a good dog or cat relationship with a human, domesticated, is domesticated human, hopefully, no, you know, domesticating animals like that, actually, I think can be wonderful for the animal